Welcome to Magic Arcanum, I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. In Magic, your life is not a score, but a resource. And understanding how to tap into this gift is one big step on the long journey from amateur spellslinger to gray-bearded wizard. To help you on this quest, I have collected 10 cards that offer the promise of game-winning power, provided you have the blood to spare. And I am going to rank these cards by lore, taking into account their legendary exploits, their otherworldliness, how well they reflect the game's story and events, and how efficient they are at turning life into victory. But first, you should check out Into the AM, the sponsor of this video, because they've got amazing deals that improve your life, not drain it. I'm putting a few of my favorite graphic tee designs on screen here, but they've got a multiverse full of prints that capture the look and feel of your favorite Magic characters and locations. Can't pick just one? Grab a bundle and save! And that even stacks with my promo code, Magic Arcanum, for an additional 10% off, site-wide. Shirts, hats, hoodies, tank tops, jogging pants. Into the AM has everything you need to stay inspired and turn you into the best-dressed player at your next game night. These are the most comfortable and best-fitting shirts you'll ever wear, and you don't even have to make a deal with a demon to get one. Just use my link in the comments, and you'll be supporting the show while you expand your wardrobe with Into the AM. Alright, now let's take a look at the top 10 ways to get value from your life ranked by lore. In 10th place, we've got double prizes with L.O.R.E and Morinfen, two Phyrexians from a time when the game's designers were scared to give us good creatures. So if you wanted something threatening, it was gonna cost you. These 5-powered evasive beaters would take a growing bite out of your own life the longer you kept them on the battlefield. But if your opponent dies first, then hey, you've got nothing to worry about. They were a nuisance for Crovax in the story, and the idea of paying life to have a stronger than average creature each turn isn't exactly an efficient path to victory, but it's enough to get them on the list. Barely. One step up, we find Varric, a vampire living on Dominaria, who happens to be related to Baron Sengir, a name you might recall from a previous Ranked by Lore video. We all know having a famous relative is a big deal, but it matters a little less on Dominaria, where it feels like everyone is related to someone famous these days, and Varric doesn't technically have a way to pay life for an effect himself. Instead, he lets you pay life to double any other effect in which you already paid life. And that is pretty cool, and can definitely be powerful, but since he is reliant on other cards, and is a fairly generic vampire himself, he's only getting 9th place here. For 8th place, we've got our first non-creature legendary card, and that's Bolas's Citadel from War of the Spark. This artifact lets you play cards off the top of your deck, which is basically like having a hand of cards that never runs out. It can be a very powerful effect, and if you deploy enough permanents with it, you could even use it to take a huge bite out of your opponent's life total. Hitting lands can be frustrating, which is kind of ironic because in the story this was more of a location than an item, and I would have expected it to be a land itself, but who am I to question the wisdom of a self-proclaimed God Pharaoh? Up next is another supremely powerful magical artifact, and that's the Cauldron of Eternity from Eldraine. In the story, this long-lost chalice cures the planeswalker Garruk of his curse before vanishing again, making it one of the most sought-after relics of the plane, but the card acts differently. It lets you pay life to bring a creature back from your graveyard, which is great, but it can't loop them because everything that dies goes to the bottom of your deck now instead. I understand why they did this for balance reasons, but only reanimating stuff that was dead before the cauldron showed up or was put into your graveyard through discard or self-mill does not fit with the regenerative feeling we get from the other cards depicting the same artifact. This is a good time to bring up some other honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list, but do allow you to use life in powerful ways, and that's 3 lands from Champions of Kamigawa. They all come into play tapped, and only make mana if you also pay some amount of life, but that mana gains some extra special properties that might justify the cost. The best is probably Beseiju Who Shelters All, who offers to make it impossible to counter your instant or sorcery spells, which is kind of weird because it feels like this tree should shelter creatures, you know? These lands are fun, but they're not very efficient at turning life into victory, and they don't really reflect how these locations function in the stories, so I just wanted to give them a little shout out here so I could avoid getting any upset comments from the 12 fans of original Kamigawa down in the comments. Original Kamigawa. Magic's great hipster test. Anyway, back to the list. In 6th place, I've got Vona, a vampire on Ixalan, famous for her ability to butcher just about anything. Paying 7 life to destroy any non-land permanent is a great way to keep your opponent's board under control. And with lifelink and vigilance, Vona can even refill the tank between activations, letting you fire this off multiple times per game. She's a frightening character in the story, and her card accurately reflects her skill at eliminating anything that comes between her and her objective. Overall, very solid, but still not good enough to crack our top 5. For that, we need to go back to the days of Torment and search the fighting pits for a man who goes by the name Chainer. With his mastery of dementia magic, he was able to conjure nightmares of all sorts, and he proved himself to be a terrible foe for many opponents in the fighting pits of Dominaria. At one point, he even briefly beheld the Mirari, but even it could not cure his final wounds, leaving him to beg his friend Kamal for a mercy killing. Chainer has a similar effect to the Cauldron of Eternity, but without as many restrictions. In fact, he even buffs the creatures he brings back from your graveyard. The only downside is that they all vanish along with him when he dies. But even a temporary nightmare army can be a rapid path to victory. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, hey Ryan, what about cards like Necropotence or Dark Confidant? Well, those are very powerful cards, but they're not legendary. And after a month of losing subscribers for the first time in almost 4 years, Nicole and I decided to bring our focus back to the notable characters, locations, and events that make up Magic. That seems to be why most of you are here, but if you've got a favorite non-legendary card that lets you pay life for games, you are of course welcome to share it down in the comments. Beladros Witherbloom claims 4th place as an Elder Dragon and co-founder of Strixhaven. It's gotta be hard to find otherworldly designs for dragons after some 30 years of cards, but this one pulls it off, featuring dark feathers rather than scales and an unsettling emerald glow. She was consulted by Liliana Vess in the story, and her name, like all of the co-founders, appears throughout the Strixhaven set. Her legendary impact is everywhere. And as for her efficiency at using your life as a resource, well, she can definitely teach you a thing or two by letting you trade 10 life to untap all of your lands once per turn. This sounds like it would just double your mana, but with help from, say, Nykthos, that could still end up being enough to win you the game on the spot. But what if having a ton of mana isn't enough? What if you need a single specific card from your deck first? Then you should reach for my number 3 pick, the demon Razaketh, who used his own blood to usher in the Hour of Devastation on Amonkhet. He was the trusted lieutenant of Nicol Bolas and one of the demons that contracted a deal with Liliana Vess. Interestingly, in the story, we are told he has a mastery over life and even managed to briefly mind control Liliana before the rest of the Gatewatch distracted him long enough for her to escape his influence. His card doesn't really reflect that, but it does still have impressive stats, showing how incredibly strong he was, and reminding us why Nicol Bolas trusted him ahead of even the gods of the plane. Being able to search or tutor up a specific card from your deck almost any time you want is easily worth 2 life and the sacrifice of a token creature, especially in singleton formats like Commander. Because sometimes even an 8/8 flying trampling demon needs a friend. Perhaps you'll search up Yawgmoth, one of the few cards arguably even more powerful than Razaketh. Yawgmoth is synonymous with the Phyrexians, and just like in this story, his card has no limits when it comes to chasing perfection. He's willing to sacrifice everything as he searches for answers, spreading his vile infections all the while, and his protection from humans means you can't even really throw him in jail. Not that any jail could hold Spice 8 Rack. I mean, Yawgmoth, different person, clearly. Anyway, so far we've seen creatures that let you pay life to draw a card, or pay life to search for 1 card. But what if you just want, like, all the cards? Then you need my number 1 pick, the goat with goat horns. The demon, so powerful, he was banned in the story and in real life. I am, of course, talking about Grizzle Brand from Innistrad. Pay 7 to draw 7. Then hit them with your 7/7 with lifelink and do it again. As another of the demons who authored Liliana's contract, she broke him out of the Hell Vault just to kill him in the story, and then, once players realized he's basically the perfect reanimation target and all-around flying powerhouse, he was banned in the game's most popular format, Commander. But don't worry, he's still there to refill your hand in Modern, Vintage, and Legacy, because even after 30 years, we haven't seen a more efficient way to turn your life into such an overwhelming advantage. Grizzle Brand for being such an absolute unit, and for teaching us all how to live life to the fullest, I award you the Golden Mustache and declare you first among those legends who would seek greatness at any cost when ranked by lore. So those are 10 cards that hopefully inspire your next deck, but if you think I left out something even better, let me know down in the comments, and visit my link for Into the AM while you're there. Then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya!